Hey there guys, how you guys doing out there? Hope you guys are doing okay. Hope you guys are staying safe. Today we're going to be working with, drum roll please, Next.js. So more especially Next.js 14, which is the latest up until this point of recording. So Next.js 14. And this is exciting because if you look back with all our projects, we've just been doing it with the classic MERN applications. So just React and Node.js with Express.js. That's all we've been using for the most part. So with this project, it's kind of our intro into Next.js 14. We're going to be building a simple application, which is it's a simple movie application, a movie project. So think IMDb, but we're going to be using the TMDB API. So we're going to be doing API calls. We're going to be doing server-side rendering. We're going to be doing client-side rendering, and we're going to be working with the different app directories within Next.js. So we're going to try and cover everything on the beginner level of what Next.js has to offer. We're not going to delve deep into Next.js framework, as this is sort of a intermediate project, since it's a beginner project for Next.js, but it's a kind of intermediate project for all, as long as you know how to use React and Node.js. So that's pretty much the prerequisites. Do you know how to use React.js for the most part? And and JavaScript. So do you know how to use that? If you do, things will click a lot faster. If you don't, I'll suggest you go work with React.js for a while, or just catch up on it, see how it really works. And when you feel comfortable building projects from it, then Next.js will be a lot easier for you. However, if you just want to jump right into Next.js, it might take you a while to figure out what's going on, but you're smart, you'll figure it out. This is also a good project for you because we're going to be doing basically the basics of things, which is calling an API, just basic stuff, calling an API, using a backend server, connecting our backend server to our React.js, all within the framework. So that's pretty much what this project's going to be going through. Now, to go into the project, what this project is doing is we're getting our API from TMDB, and then we're going to make this pseudo how do I put it? We're going to make this pseudo IMDb kind of page. So with all that said, let's jump into what that actually looks like, and then I'll explain it a little further. Okay, so here we have the project, what we're going to be building. So within this, as you can see, we have a quick little nav bar here, and I'll go over what's going on there. It's nothing really huge, but here's where the website shines. So here we have our banner, and our banner here is extracting an image, a trending image from the API. So whatever movie's trending right now, it extracts it from the API. It shows it here, gives us the name of the movie, the release date of the movie, and here we have a truncated description of the movie. So if it's so long that it needs to be truncated, then we have a function that truncates it for us. So this is not a slideshow. What this does is, if let's say we refresh this page, as you can see, a new movie comes out. So we're not really focused more on the banner / the hero component. This is just kind of there because we need a hero component. We're not working too much on that. We're not going to go into much detail with the data on our banner. Now, if we come down here, as you can see, we have various categories. So we have our trending, we have our movies, and we have our TV. So that's what we're going to be working on. So within trending, we're given all trending movies at this point. So movies and TV shows. So as you can see on each card, you can see it says movie, it says movie, and here it says TV. So this is a TV show. And at the bottom here, we have our pagination. So if you go to page 2, it it goes to the next set of trending data, and we can go back to one. Movies does the same thing, but here's the cool part about it. It does pretty much the same thing. Now, if you search for any movie, so let's say we search for Kong, and we search that, as you can see, it gives us everything relating to Kong or anything under that name and that title. It renders it on our screen. So here we go. So that's pretty cool. It gives us the rating of each movie at the top. Now, as you can see, we can clear out and we're back to our default. Now, we have the same thing going on for TV, but another cool thing is within any of these categories. So let's go back to trending. For example, here we have Ghostbusters. If I click on this, because as you can see, there's a hover animation. If I click on it, it gives you the name, it gives you the full description. And now what's so cool about this is if I click on this play icon here, it shows us the trailer. So we're linked right to YouTube. We can see the trailer. If we hit play, it plays the trailer. We're just gonna pause that, and then you click anywhere outside of that, it goes right back. We click back at it, and we're back to the model. So we do that. So that to me is pretty cool. For the TV, we don't have the trailer for that. We just have the full description, the image, and the title. So that to me, I think is pretty cool. So that's what we're going to be building. Now, another aspect that we're going to be using, which is awesome, to me, is here I created this location nav link. So if I click on this location, it uses geolocation to find the closest movie theaters close to around us. So here we have a number of movie theaters, and here we're using Google's Places API to find these movies around us. So it tells you what the availability is. Is it open? Is it closed? How many stars it has? So it's pretty reliable on that front. And now with this, I just kept it at a, keep it simple, stupid. So I just kept it at this. So you can add your own functionality to this. Right now, you can't really click on it. You can't do anything. But if you wanted, you can make this a URL link. So if you click on it, it takes you exactly to that movie theater. So it takes you to that movie theater's website. Or if you just want to search a new location, this is going to load for a second here. If you just want to search a new location, you have to enter the new zip code and it will render for you. So now we can go back to our homepage. This is fully mobile responsive. So as you can see, everything here is fully responsive on mobile. If I click on location here, it's also fully responsive. So just give it a second there. As you can see, everything is responsive. So now I can close out of that. And what's cool about this project is we're going to be learning not only how to use Google Places API, we're going to be building stuff with Next.js. It's not just the cool part. We're going to be also working with server components. So that way we're rendering our components directly on the server. So as you can see, this image here, this banner / hero component here, whenever I load, it loads almost immediately. Pretty much there's no delay, and that's because it's being rendered on the server. So with hydration and everything, it's able to become active on our client side. So these are some cool concepts we're going to be going through. Now, with all that said, let's just jump right into the project. Let's go ahead and build this. So, all right, guys. So in order to get right into the project, first we come to the nextjs.org website. As you can see, this is what it's going to look like. And then we're just going to hit, you can either hit get started, or you can just copy this npx create next app at latest. But first, when we go into our IDE, we're just going to create a directory. So we're going to say make directory, and this is going to be called let's say Next.js YouTube. So Yeah, let's do that. And then we can CD right into that, Next.js, YouTube, clear. And then now we can open up this. I'll just open that up. Cool. So now we're within that. So within this, we're going to run, let's go back to our browser, and then we're just going to copy this npx create next app at latest, copy that, and we're going to paste that in there, and that's how we get our Next.js started. So here it's going to say, what is your project name? We're just going to call it entertainment app. And then would I like to use TypeScript? We're not going to be using TypeScript for this, so no. Would I like to use ESLint? Yes. Would you like to use Tailwind CSS? That would be a yes. Would you like to use the src directory? I would personally, so yes. Would you like to use the app router? Recommended. Just go with yes. Would you like to customize the default import alias? I'm just going to say no. And then it's just going to go ahead and build out our app for us. So it's installing dependencies and things like that. Now, speaking of dependencies, we're going to be installing some ourselves. And what we're going to be installing, we're going to be using, okay, we can do it here. So let's just clear out of this. Let's CD into entertainment app. So if we drop down here, as you can see, everything's within it. Now we can say npm install. We're going to be installing Axios and React icons. Cool. So let's see if that installed. So we have Axios, we have React icons. Cool. Let's clear this out, and we're also going to be using Material UI. So Material UI for our front end. So let's go ahead and go to get started. Let's go to installation. So we're just going to copy this, come right back here, install it. So we're just installing our Material UI, and cool, that's it. So now we can go back to our browser and just close out of Material UI, and we don't really need Next.js anymore. So let's go back to our Visual Studio. So let's clear out of that. So within our IDE, we can now start cleaning things up here. So let's go ahead and see if, yep, MUI the dependency got installed, so we don't have to worry about that anymore. So we close that up. So now we can go ahead and start either taking things out or adding things. So first, let's run this. So we're going to say npm run dev. Oh, so the portals already is in use. So let's do this. So I can go back to, you know what? We're just going to run it on 3001. That's fine. So let's open this. There we go. And this is our application so far, with nothing being added and nothing taken out. So since we're not going to be using this, we're going to build in our own project. Let's go back into our IDE. And within our IDE, let's go into source directory, and we're just going to go straight into the page. And I'm going to explain what all this does in a minute, but we're just going to come in here. So right from main all the way down to main. There we go. We're just going to delete all that. And we'll just have a fragment here. That's fine. And now if you go back and refresh that, as you can see, there's nothing there. So also within global CSS, we're not going to be using any of this. So we're just going to delete all that and keep it this way. So this should look familiar. There we go. This should look familiar. This is what our Tailwind, this is what our CSS tends to look like when we first work with React and we install Tailwind. We have this. So we're just cleaning up the app right now. So while we're doing that, let me just quickly run through what's going on. So within our app folder, we have this. We have fav icon.ico, and that's pretty standard with our application, with React applications. That is our icon that that's our icon that shows here. So you can change that. We're not going to be worried we're not going to be too worried about that right now. We're not trying to work with metadata at this point, so we can just leave that. And then within layout, well, global CSS, as you guys can see, is just the Tailwind configuration. Layout here is very important. Here we have our metadata, so the title, so it's not going to be called create next app. We can just say it's called entertainment app. Description, you can change that if you want. Here it's important because this is the layout of your application. So right now you have this body, and then the children within the body. So if you wanted to add anything else to it, so let's say you had a nav component or anything, you want to add that nav component up here, and you want to add the footer down here. So the children component is whatever is within our application, like whatever is within our app. So right now the children is what is showing right here, like everything within this. So everything within the body basically. So now if you want to add a nav, the nav is going to go above the child, and the footer is going to go below the child. So that's all that's going on here. So we go ahead and save that. Now within our page, so a page is important. So our page is what shows on our route. So here the app route, within the app folder, the page.js, not JSX, the page.js is what is the item that's going to show within our default route. So when you load local host 3000 or whatever you're going to be hosting your website on, whatever URL you're going to be hosting it, here if I said h1 and I said hello world and I save that, because this app corresponds to localhost 3000 with a backslash, so just the home page, it's going to show hello world. So that's all this is saying. So in React.js, is that React.js? So within React, like React.js, what used to happen is you would go within our app file or the app folder, and you would create a React router DOM. So you would set up the React router DOM, and you would set up the routes and things like that. With Next.js, that's been kind of simplified. So now you don't have to go create a route like, the home route is going to be a backslash and it's going to have this element. We don't need to do that anymore. Here we just know that the app folder has this page.js, and that's going to serve as whatever's going to go within the home route, the main route. So now let's say I wanted to create so let's come over here, and let's say I wanted to create a new folder. So let's say I wanted to create a location route. So this is going to be a location route. So now I have location, but look at this. If I come over here to localhost 3000 and I just put location, nothing happens. It says 404, this page cannot be found. Why is that? Because within this, the page.js that's within the root of the app folder does not correspond to the location folder. You have to have a page.js within that location folder. So we're going to go into that location folder, and we're going to create its own page.js. And so here, now we can, so within this page.js, as you can see, it says export default function home. We're just going to have the same thing. So page.js, export default function, and this is going to be home as well. There you go. And now we can return whatever it is we would want to return. So right now there's nothing there. So, but if you go back to that location, as you can see, we don't get a 404 anymore, we get something within it. So now you know how to create different routes. So that's just one route, so you can create as many as you want. So the reason I use it the source directory, you don't have to, is because it makes things a lot more organized. So now if I want to create a folder for my components, so I'm just gonna have a folder here, and then it's going to be called components. And within components, now I can just have regular components. So here I can say hero page.jsx, and this is going to be for our hero page. So RAFCE, just like you would in React, and here it says hero. So if I take this and I go over to the page.js, the root page.js, so for our home page, and I take this hello world out. So I'm able to take this hello world out. Also, we don't need this import image. As you can see, it's not even being used. We just take that out and save it. Here, I can import that component, and that component is called hero, so I can import it and save. As you can see, now if I come to, where did I save this? Oh yeah, if I come to the home page, as you can see, that hero works. So the component, you can insert that component within the page.js. So things are a lot more simplistic in its own way. So with the Next.js framework, you don't have to worry about about manually setting up the React router DOM anymore. It's pretty straightforward now. So with that, our components don't work as routes because they're not within they're components. They're not within the app itself. They're their own folder called components. So we can make as many components as you want, just like you could in React. Difference is you're just going to be, depending on how you want to use it, you're going to be moving it into the page.js or however else you want to use it. So that's a quick rundown on how we use components and create routes. For the most part, that's all you need to know in this project. We're not going to go into like parameters or dynamic routing or anything like that in this particular project. We probably will in the future with other projects. This is just to initiate you in a way into Next.js. So okay, so now that we have all that, let's just clean this up. So now we have hero page, we have our location, and we have our hero page.js. So we have our hero component here. So let's close all this out and let's basically start working on what we need to work on. So now that we have everything set up, let's work with let's see how the backend works now. So within this, within the app, you can also set up something called the API. So here within app, we can create a new folder, and this folder is going to be called API. And within API, you can set up, the API routes. So here, it's going to be a little bit different because it's the API, it's not the front end. So here, you're just going to say new file, and this is going to be route.js. So that's how we're going to set this up. And this is where you can set up your backend API. So let's say you had, let's create something really quickly. So we're going to say export default function get, and here we could state actually let's use async here instead. So asynchronous function get, and then here we just want to return, and here in order to return something, we're going to say not even return, we're just going to say next response, there we go, .json, and here we're going to say message is let's see, hello world. Cool. So let's try this. So let's return, there we go. There we go. So we're going to be returning this. So when we hit this endpoint, we should be returning hello world, right? So let's try that. So if we come over here and we go to slash, and this API route is going to be called, so that's where we made a mistake. So pardon me, we're going to create a folder here, and the folder is going to be called, let's say location, because we are going to be making a folder called location. So we're just going to move this route into that. Awesome. So now within our location, we have this route. So now we can save that. And now if we go slash API slash location, it's going to say message hello world. So this is how we build our backend API. So just as easy as that. So this would be typically how our Node.js runtime would be using Express. When we were building our MERN applications, we were using Express.js and Node runtime. This is how we would set things up. But now with React, we don't have, with Next.js, we don't have to use, we don't have to have basically a MVC model, a MVC type setup where we have a controller and then we have a views and then we have a model. So we can have a model folder, but here the views and the routes, the view slash routes is kind of already ingratiated within the controller. So here you're creating a view slash route, but you don't have to, within that route you're writing in the controller. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to create another folder just for controller. So it's kind of 2-in-1. So it makes things a lot faster, it makes things a lot easier. And because you're within the same API, within the same framework, that connecting to your backend is as simple as just saying /API/ whatever the folder name is, that route is. So you don't have to basically set up a proxy or anything like that. So that's pretty much how our backend works. We'll dive into it deeper as we go along, but this was just to show you an example of how the backend would work. So if we come back to our main here, you can see it just says hero. So let's start building out our project as we go on right now. So what we want to do first is create our nav. So we want to create our navigation. So in order to create that nav bar, so in order to create our nav bar, we can come right into our component, and here we just want to create nav.jsx. Same RAFCE we would use if we're just using only React. And here what we're going to be doing is just creating our nav using Tailwind CSS. Nothing really too crazy. So I'm going to imagine most of you know how to create a nav bar, so I'm not going to go too deep into it. So we're just going to say nav here, and then the class name, we're just going to say width is full, height is, we're going to give it 8 view height. It's fixed. We're going to have a background fixed. We're going to have top 0, left 0, right 0, background of black. We're going to flex it and have items centered. Cool. And then we're going to justify between, and we're going to say text is white. Music licensing. Cool. Here we can also say we want a pattern X of 4, Z of 50. Awesome. And now within this we can have div class name. So you know what, let's make this a little bit easier. Let's move this a bit. Cool. So that makes things a little bit easier to see. So right now nothing's going to be seen, but when we start posting or saving things, then you're going to see it. So here the div class name is going to be width full, height full. We're going to have it flexed. We're going to justify between, and then we're going to say items center. Awesome. And now within this we're going to have another div, and this div is just going to have link. So this is so we're going to be using link from Next.js. So link, and we're going to say link to, well, link href, and it's going to be linking us to our homepage. So just a single backslash. So within that, now we can build our h1, and within our h1 we're going to say class name, and here it's going to be text, and here it's going to be 2.5 vmin, and we're going to call it entertainment. So if you want, you can add an icon, but I'm just going to call it entertainment. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So here, after this, we're going to have another div, and this div is going to be the one that holds the location. So within this div, we're going to have a link again, and this href now is going to be alluding to the slash location. And remember, we already built out slash location by building out with an app this location route. So that's what it's alluding to. So slash location, and then we can have h1, and within h1 it's going to be location. Cool. So just like that, we're done building our nav. So let's do this, make it look pretty. There we go. So we're all done building this nav component. So now what do we do? So within that, we're gonna head over to our home page. There we go. So here we're gonna have you know what? Let's do this. So actually let's go over to, so what do we have here? Let's not use this page. So we're not going to use page because it's nav. We're going to go straight over to, where is it? Layout. That's what we're looking for. So we're going to go to layout, and here let's just do this. Cool. So right before children, we're going to put this nav component right up there. Awesome. And as you can see, we have this nav component there. So if we had a footer, it would go here, but we're not really creating a footer, so we're just going to keep it as nav, and then we can close out of this. So as you can see, our main page is being covered up. So we can go into hero, right? And we're just going to create a class name for hero. Let's see. So we just create a class name, and we can say with full height, full, and we're just going to give it a padding top of, let's say 10 view height. There we go. And it's just right there. So we're not going to be using hero. We're going to be using something called banner. I'm just using this as an example. So instead of hero, we're going to change this and rename it to banner. Cool. And then we're just going to change this to banner and change this as well to banner. Okay, so where did we import that? So did we import hero somewhere? Let's see, no trace for hero page. All right, let's do this. Okay. There we go. So here's where the error is. Import hero at the home. So let's go here. There we go. That's why. So this should be banner. And now we can take out this hero and save it. And just like that, we're done. So I just like the color banner because that's what I called it in my original project, and I just like to keep things uniform. So in case we have an error, it's easy. I can easily debug it. Yeah. So that's what we're going to be. That's pretty much the first part. So we have our nav done. So if we click this, as you can see, it's back in the home section. If we click location, let's go over to location really quickly. Okay, so location has nothing in it, so it's completely fine. But as you can see, we're in the location route. So that's pretty much all we're doing. So we can go ahead and close. Actually, not close. We can go back to entertainment, and it takes us right to our entertainment homepage. So with these, you can style them more. You can make it different color and hover, so people can know you can click it. But we're just gonna go really simplistic and keep it this way. So now the next thing we want to do is we want to go ahead and create our location component. So want to go into our component, and within this, we want to say location.jsx, RAFCE, and we just close this out. We can close this out, and within this is our location. We can now say location. Cool. So now we have within our location route. Okay, it's not defined. Oh, why didn't it auto import? Oh, that's why. So we didn't pick the right one. Cool. So now within our location, it's being covered by the. We should see this location text, but it's being covered by the nav by the nav bar. So you just got to do the same thing and say class name with full, height is full, and give it a padding top of 10 view height. There we go. So as you can see, that works as well. Okay, so now that we pretty much gotten the semantics out the way, so we know how things work, let's start working with APIs and server components and client side components. So let's do this. Let's go over to, where is it? We're going over to banner. There we go. So one thing that's good to know about Next.js, or you need to know about Next.js, is automatically everything within the components renders on the server. That's very good for SEO, as if it renders on a server and then it sends that page, that HTML page over to our client, it makes things a lot faster, and it's very much suitable for like Google's SEO and things like that. It helps it be seen within a Google site, a Google search better, and other browsers better. But what we need to know is it helps because it does things a lot faster because it's working directly on the server. So with the client, it needs to download and everything. But for the basic understanding, just know all the components, except if stated otherwise, which we're going to see how to state otherwise, is going to be run on the server. So this banner component is going to be run on a server, whereas another component I'm going to build later on is going to be run on a client side. So in order to begin, what we're going to do is we need our API key for this. So for our API key, we're going to come over to Google, and we're going to say TMDB, and you're going to go to the movie database. So, and you're going to basically join TMDB because you need API. So let's go to API. Let's close this. So let's go to API, and then you're going to be basically logging in or joining TMDB to get an API key. So as you can see, it says to register for an API key, click the API link within your account settings page. So you're just going to be needing that. So I already have mine. I'm not going to be logging in. There's no point to it. But once you get yours, you're able to continue on with this project. So you're going to need that in order to work with this project in any capacity. So once we have that, you're going to be making within this root. So not within SRC. So you're going to come here. So within the root, you're going to be creating a new file, and this file is going to be called .env. So within, you want this .env to be ignored by Git. So right now you can either say .env.local, but if you're coming from the Node.js world, I typically just call it .env. So what I can do here is I can just add .env over here and just save it. So there's really no big difference there. It's all on the server side, so it doesn't matter. So you just save that there. So that way your credentials within here are not exposed within Git. So when you save things to GitHub. So that's what this is doing. So you're going to be putting your API key in here. So this is going to be called API key. And you're going to be putting your key in here. I believe that's the only thing you're going to be needing. So just the API key so far. So I'm going to go ahead and put in my API key. I suggest you guys do the same thing. I'm going to do mine off screen, so you're not going to be able to see it, but you go ahead and put your API key, and we'll go on from there. So once you do that, now we can actually start working on our banner. So what we want to do now is we want to come down here, and you want to create another function, right? So you're going to be saying const get data is equal to async, and here you're going to say const key is equal to process.env dot API key, or whatever you name the API key within your .env. Just remember it's case sensitive, so that if you just make sure it's case sensitive. So I saved mine as API key, so I have to put it this way. So we're going to be using this key here later on, well, in the near future. So that's what I want to do. I want to be able to get my API key, and then now I want to be able to write a function that's going to truncate for me. So what I mean by that is, as you can see in a main project, these descriptions corresponding to the movie, if it's over a certain amount of characters, it becomes truncated, meaning it shrinks, because we don't want it to affect our user experience. So for example, let's see if we could find one really quickly. Let's see. Okay, so for example, this is above, I believe, 150 characters, because that's what I set mine to be. So if it's above 150 characters, it cuts off, meaning it truncates, and it just adds this ellipsis. Is that what it's called? It adds this ... there, knowing, letting the user know that, hey, there's more to this. And then depending on how we set up this banner, if you click on it, which you can't do here, but I'll show you how to do it. If you click on it, you can then read the whole description along with the trailer, and just like we have here. Basically, you can do this, is what I'm trying to say. So here nothing's truncated, so but we have to write that function out for it to be truncated. So for truncation, we're going to say truncate, and we're going to take that string, and we're going to take a number. Number is what we want it to be, and we're going to write this logic saying if the string we have, the length of the string we have that's provided by the API is greater than the number that we want it to be, then we want to return string. Else, well, this should say is less than a number. So if string.length is less than the number that we want it to be, then we want to return string. Else, if the length of the string is greater than the number, then we want to return string.slice. And it should be 0 and number. So we want to start at the start of the string, and we want to end at the number that the amount of characters that we set for it. And then we want to say plus, we want to append a ... to it. That's all we're doing here. Yeah, so let's quickly go back over that. So for truncate, we're saying if the length of the string that we're getting is less than the number that's assigned, so the number of characters that's assigned, we want to return just the string. However, if the length of the string is greater than the number that we assigned, then we want to slice it. So we want to reduce it, and we want to start at the start of the string and end at the number that we give it. And then we want to append the ... to it. Cool. So once we have that, now we want to have within this get data, we want to have a try catch. And this is where we start using our API call. So here we're going to say const response is equal to await fetch. And we're using fetch within Next.js because fetch has it's the best to use for Next.js based on what I read in the doc in the Next.js docs, because it comes with a lot of cache functionality. So you can cache the page, cache different things within the application. So it kind of does that automatically, except if stated otherwise, or if stated explicitly to do it a certain way. You can also use Axios, but if you use Axios, I believe you have to explicitly state for it to cache things and things like that. So I'm just going to be using fetch for this particular one at least. So I'm going to be saying fetch, and I'm just going to go straight into my my other project and get the URL for it. So you can just copy the URL, but the URL I'm going to be using is this. And I'm just going to, let's just do this. I'm just going to paste that in here. I'm going to use backticks instead of quotations. And the reason, well, so this is for upcoming movies, so not trending, sorry. So these are for quote unquote upcoming movies, which, I mean, some of those movies are already out, but that's what we get using the upcoming. So for upcoming movies, this is the API. So within TMDB, you're going to be going to the upcoming category and just copying that URL, or you can just do it this way. So as you can see within this, we're just going to have backticks, and then we're going to add dynamically the key to it, and that's it. So for API key, we're just going to add this key, and this key is this. So it's going to say string here, and it should say string here. So we're just getting it in there. So that's how we get the API. That's how we call the API for movies. So as you can see, it's movie, upcoming movies. So you just copy it this way, and you just copy it this way. So it works all the same. Or you can go to TMDB and get the category that you want. It doesn't really matter. So we just want the API call results in the same objects. So the image is going to be the same for whatever type of category you pick. So yeah, we just want the images and the data that corresponds to it. So with all that digression, let's go over to what's it called? So let's finish out this this response. So we're gonna say if the response. So if there's no response dot okay, meaning the response didn't, like, it didn't go through, meaning our API call didn't go through, we're gonna say throw new error, and it's gonna say HTTP error, and it's gonna say status. Let's use this status. And the status here is going to be response dot status. Cool. So that's all this is going to say. And now, if the response was okay, we're going to say const data is equal to await response.json. And now we can go ahead and console log data. Now here's the something that's different now. So if I do that and I go over to, oh well, I didn't call that function yet, so let's just wait a second. So we can do that, and what we want to do to get the movies, to get the results, is we want to go to data.results. So this will all make sense in a second once this function is called. And then for catch error, we're just going to say console.error failed to fetch coming movies. And then there's an error. Cool. And we're just going to return movie. Actually, let's wait a second before we return anything, just so I can call this function. So let's say I can call it within it. So let's close this out for a second, just so I can see everything. So within banner, let's just say await, and what's this function called? We're going to say await get data. So we're calling this function within the banner.
Artlist.io.
Why is this not awaiting? Oh, because it's asynchronous. There we go. Yeah. And then we save that. So now if we open up this console, right, and we come back to the home page,
Music licensing reimagined.
HTTP error 401 get data. So there's an error somewhere, so we messed up something. So let's see. Okay, we have this HTTPS blah blah, we have that. Okay, so we don't have response. It's gonna throw new response. All right, so with this error, what it's telling me basically is there's a problem with this key. So when you come back over here, it seems like this .env was put in wrongly. So it's not, it seems like, it clearly shows that the .env was put in wrongly. So the .env, although it's within the root, it should be within .entertainment. It should be within entertainment app. So the root of entertainment app. So it should be right here. So that's a problem. So that should work correctly now. So if I go ahead and save this, all right, everything's the same. There we go. So as you can see, now everything is console logged here. So if you ask yourself, well, you might be asking yourself, let's see, let's come in here and let's go to console here, right? There's nothing being console logged in here. Everything is being console logged within the terminal of the IDE, or within the application terminal. Why is that? And the answer to that is server component rendering, or CSR, component server rendering. So let's see what the, I don't want to get the acronym wrong. So component server Next.js 14 server component. There we go. Server component rendering. Sorry. So the answer is because of server component rendering. And what that means is, like I said, the components within Next.js run directly on the server. So that's why you're seeing this here. It's not running on the client. So the browser has no idea. It doesn't have any intention of console logging anything, because it's not running on the client. It's only running on the console. Now, if I should state explicitly that it should run on the client, and I say use client, and I save that, right? As you can see, it refreshes. Now, if I inspect, there you go. Now, don't worry about the error. We don't care. The point basically is, now you can see things being logged within the console. We don't care about this error because we're not going to use the console. So I'm not going to debug it. So, but the point is, if you explicitly state it should be used by the client, then it does. If not, it runs within the server. So you see it in the terminal. So that's what makes React.js, that's what makes Next.js very powerful, because it's gonna give you light speed. Well, let's not say light speed. It's gonna give you really fast rendering, and that's one of the main reasons, is because it's doing so within the server. So it's doing so on the server rather than on the client side. So that's pretty cool. Now we're not done yet. So now we have results, right? So if you come over here, these are all the results that we're getting. So we're only console logging the data that we get back. Now we want the results, so we want to go into the results. So now if I do this, save everything, as you can see. Now if I console.log results, and I save that, as you can see, now we have this again. So now we're within the results, and that's what we want. So we want to use the results to get what we want. Now, in order to get, so if you come back to the main project, as you can see, we have this image that dynamically changes, right? So it's just gonna keep changing as long as we refresh the page. So it's static until we refresh the page, then it's dynamic. So basically it's dynamic is what I'm trying to say. So the way we select the image and the data that we want to be displayed is pretty random. So how do we do that? We do that by stating we're gonna create a function that states, let's just say const random index. So we're gonna say random index, and we're gonna say math.floor, and this basically just, as it says right there, returns the greatest integer less than or equal to its numeric argument. So if you have something like 9.8, it's gonna return it to 9, basically, not 10 or 9.9. It's just going to return it down to 9. It's going to floor it down to 9. If you have 9.3, for example, it's going to bring it down to 9. If you have 10.2, it's going to bring it down to 10. So that's what it's saying. So you have math.floor, and then you want to do math.random. So you're going to say math.random, and here you're just basically randomizing the outcome based on what's passed to it. So where's the pin? Yeah, it returns a pseudo random number between 0 and 1. So math.random, and then you're going to say times results.length, and you're multiplying it by results.length, because the results is basically what we get here, and by the length of it is how. So if we have 10 items, then it's gonna randomize those 10 items, and that's what it's gonna render. So we have that. Now if we say const movie, we can now say results, right? And then we can say random. So we're going to be picking a random index. So we're not picking a specific array, we're just randomizing it. So we do that. So now this movie has random index. So how do we now use these variables within Banner, right? How we can do that without using useState or any React hooks, because the one thing about server components is the minute you use a React hook like useState, useEffect, this becomes a client component, because the server has no idea what the useState or any of that is. Like, it doesn't care. But that's on the client side, because that's React. React is saying, all right, we're gonna save this state and then do something with it. The server does not do that. So because we're not using any state hooks or any React hooks, the way we're gonna do it is we're gonna return what we need. So we're gonna be returning basically movie and the function truncate. So we're gonna return it here, and here we're gonna say within catch error, we're gonna say let's go within. Yep. So within catch error, we're gonna return the same thing but null. So if we have an error, the movie is gonna return null. The truncate is gonna return null. That's pretty much all that's going on. So now, rather than just say await get data, we're gonna be destructuring and saying const movie truncate is equal to await get data. So that's what we're getting here. So now we're grabbing this and using it within this. So now we want to return things. So let's do this. Okay. Awesome. So now we're going to state. All right, let's see what's going on here. Yeah, we missed something here. Okay, let's just take this out. So we have get data. Now we want to return div. There we go. And now we can say class name, width is full, height is full. And instead of having 8 padding top be 10. We're going to change it to 8 view height. Save that. And now we can say if we have this movie, if this is present, then we want to say div class name relative, and we want to give it a width full,
Music licensing reimagined.
height full. And we're saying relative because we're going to position things within the image. So just like we have here, so because we're going to be positioning this within the image, we're going to be changing up the position. So we're going to be saying relative here. What's going on right now? So div, there's no closing. There we go. So we're going to do this. And now we're going to be using image. So if you look up here, well, I should have imported image. So let's see.
Artlist.io.
So next image, as you can see, it imports image right there. So image, and then the source is going to be, so let's go ahead and get the source from here. So our source is going to be
Music
this.
licensing reimagined.
Cool. So we'll go ahead and grab the image source right here. And the image source, it should be within the docs in TMDB. I'm just not logged in just to save some time, but you can just grab the same thing I have right here. So it's just HTTPS, and this is the long form. So you have this, and then here we're gonna say movie.backdrop path because we want that huge backdrop. So you should either see a poster path or a backdrop path within the, so let's say right here. Okay, so within the API results, you'll see poster path or you'll see backdrop path. So we're taking this backdrop path here and we're just appending it to the prefix, so to the URL that has the sizing of the image. So this is original. So we're gonna have that, and then once we have that, we can now state alt, and the alt is gonna be movie.title. Cool. We're gonna say class name. Actually, let's just, okay, so now we don't have to worry about that. So class name is equal to width is full. Object is going to be cover. We're going to have the height be 100 view height, small. So on the smaller screen, it's going to be 80. So that makes it responsive. So let's see. So okay, so if you use image, next image, so if you import image here, you're gonna need the width. So you're gonna need the width property. So let's just go ahead and just keep this at img. So image, there we go. So we just keep it at this, so that way we don't use that, just because I might need to use math to figure out the image width to make everything congruent, and I don't want to do that. So let's just keep it at img. We're going to use image later. Let's just keep it at this later. Let's just keep it at this for now. We're going to use next image later. So as you can see, we get this. So if I go ahead and refresh that, you see how fast that is. Yeah, that's pretty much all that's going on. So go ahead and refresh that. It's lightning fast. So and that's because everything's being done on the server. So the client really doesn't have much to do except to hydrate it when it gets sent over. When it gets sent over. I can't say words for some reason. So we have the image right now, and then what we want to do is create another div because we want to place things within the image. So div here. And then for this div, we're going to say div class name absolute. And we're going to say bottom We're going to give it 10%. Yep. And we're going to say left is 0. We're going to say from black. So we want to give it a gradient. From black to, and we're going to say transparent. We want to give it pattern of 4 with a full. On a small screen, we want the width to be 50%. Let's say. Cool. And then now we can add a header to it. So h1 class name. For this class name, we're going to say text is white, text is 2XL. On a small screen, we want the text to be 4XL. The font is bold, and movie.title is what we're, there you go. That's what we're putting in within it. Awesome. And now once we have that, we want to come down here, and now we want the paragraph. So we want to say class name, text is gray, 200, yeah, 200 is fine. Text small text, base, and then margin top is 2. And this is gonna, let's save that. This is gonna have release date.
Artlist.io.
And it's gonna be movie dot release date. Cool. As you can see, it's right here. Awesome. Now we can have another P here. Cool. And this class name is going to be text gray 300, text small, and then on small it's going to be text base, and then it's going to be margin top of 2. So within it, it's going to say truncate. So now we're using a truncate, and now we're going to be passing in the string, because remember it takes 2 parameters within here. So it's taking 2 parameters. So we're passing in the string, and the string is movie dot overview. And we want it to be at least 150 characters. So if it's anything more than 150 characters, then we're going to be adding this dot ellipsis. I think it's what it's called. Can't really remember. Cool. So I should have that. No, I did that wrong. So it should be this. There we go. Yeah, so truncate movie.overview, and it's so this is the string, and this is the amount of characters that we need it to be. So as you can see, this is more than that. So it's gonna have that dot. And just like that, it's been truncated. And just like that, we have our so just like that, we're done with our hero portion of the project. So I think I'm gonna cap it for right now. So on the next one, we're going to be working on making this a modal on its own. So if you click it, it should pop up a modal like it does here, and you should be able to watch a trailer. So we're going to work on that next, and then we're going to work on having these headlines. And so I think I'm going to split this into 2 to 3 parts. So we might be done on the next one, or I'm gonna split it into 3 parts and have all this done next, and then we're gonna focus on location using Google API, Google Places API for the last one. So let me know what you guys think so far of this project, how it's coming along. If you have any questions, don't forget to like, comment. If you have any questions, don't forget to ask in the comment section. If you are enjoying it, don't forget to like and subscribe. Just let me know, give me some feedback, and I'll be all ears, happy to hear it. With all that said, hope you guys continue to have a good day. Hope you guys have a good weekend, and I will see you back on the next one. Peace.